Hey folks, Blackcross here, and welcome to a Gamer Chat vlog video. I don't know what to call these anymore, so I'm just gonna be rambling in some way. It's gonna be weird to talk about this in terms of this video because, let's just say these past couple of months have been okay-ish. Like, they've not been bad, but my overall mindset as well as functionality, the way that I flow has been very mixed. It's not been very good, admittedly, and I think it's a contribute to a number of factors. My age, work habits, just name anything that you could think of, and chances are I've had that happen probably. It's one of those things where it's just like, I've had to kind of think long and hard about it, and I've tried not to dwell on things and stuff, and that's kind of been the biggest problem, is that I've been dwelling on these thoughts, and I just have a hard time trying to cope with them and stuff. But the biggest problem that I've been having is trying to stick to a routine that works for the longevity. You know, keep in mind, I'm 37 years old, and I'm not gonna get any better. I'm not. It's one of those things where it's like, you know, you reach to a point where eventually you do go down a slope, and that down slope is the decline in which how you are able to handle life in the way that you can. And I've been trying to kind of figure out a middle ground that works, and I have been doing pathetically poor at it. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm probably the worst example of trying to stick to a routine, because I do it for a little bit and then I don't stick with it. But this past week has been kind of a breakthrough for both me and Delmar. We actually found something that's actually been working, and it is something that we kind of hear a lot of YouTubers talk about. And it's something that, you know, we never really sticked with, but we were like, we hear it a lot, so it's just one of those things where we were like, well, this time let's both work with it, let's both communicate with it, let's both help each other out, you know, let's do this. And it's been working out really well. Record, it's only been a week, so I can't confirm if it's gonna work for the longevity. But if we are careful about it, if we manage it, and if we can just fluctuate with it and stuff like that, I can see a positive new change coming out of it. There's no concrete, but I will obviously give you updates as to how that goes and stuff like that. The biggest change is that we're actually doing a daily morning stretch routine. And that seems like, you know, oh, well, that doesn't seem bad. But surprisingly, the morning stretches have been both good and refreshing, as well as a positive look. It's one of those things where it's like, you don't realize it, but doing small stretches, like how I've been doing them and stuff like that, has actually been like a long-term prediction, but a short-term adjustment per se. Because if I was to give you my daily routine beforehand, it would be sleep in. That basically is just sleep in. It's like we get up in the morning and then we take a nap. I kid you not. The bit that was in Jeff Dunham Christmas special is like, we wake up in the morning and then we take a nap. That's not a lie. We get up, we do some small thing that needs to be done, either some kind of chore or talk to somebody, chat with someone. Maybe we'll try to do some chore or eat something. But then after like 2-3 hours, we'll just take another 2-3 hour nap. And it's like, I'm not saying that's a bad habit, but at the same time too, it wasn't a healthy looking motivation, if you will. It wasn't very healthy at all. And I wasn't for sure if it was because we were working too hard, because keep in mind, here in the States specifically, we are currently in a 250-year anniversary, and work has been heavy. With no exaggeration, it's been like this since February. Actually, it's been like this since before, but I mean, in terms of getting any of the America 250 anniversary stuff, we've been getting it since February. And that's ridiculous. And something tells me that's not going to end until, like, towards the seasonal end of it, like, obviously, October and stuff. But the problem is, if it does end at October, we're only going to be picked back up again because of October, November, December. So it's like, oh, well, we're not going to rest at all. So it kind of sucks. It doesn't also help the fact that we also have this FIFA thing. I didn't know what was going on at first, but I finally figured out why. Apparently, FIFA World Cup tournament finals is being held here in the United States. Starts to make sense now as to why we were seeing so much of it. But it was one of those things where it's like, I didn't quite understand it, because, especially here in the United States, I don't hear anybody talking about what some of you might call football. Some of you, not the majority of the United States, per se. The United States, we call it soccer. I'm sure some of you in Europe and other countries call it football, but regardless of where you are, you know what I'm referring to when I say FIFA. So it's like, whether you call it soccer, whether you call it football, it don't matter. Because here in the United States, that is not really I wouldn't say fan favorite per se. It's not a fan appraisal or fanfare of any kind. I mostly hear like football or baseball, and that's coming from somebody who isn't a sports fan anyway. So it's like, okay, yeah, I don't really care about it, but whatever, right? So it's one of those things where it's like you got all of this combined together, and it's like, okay, we're kind of going a little overboard here. But everything else seems to be perfectly fine, you know. We're still able to keep working to some degree, but we are also very much wore out. And it was one of those things where it's like, maybe it was because of that, I don't know. But then we decided, okay, obviously we're seeing a decline. We're seeing like a bad aftermath of what's going on and stuff like that. So we need to kind of change something. And me and Delmore kind of started brainstorming, trying to think of ways to kind of help us get motivated, to help positively about getting ourselves back into the field of things and stuff. Because the bad thing is that lately we've both been kind of feeling in a negative term. We've been feeling very negative in a way of some kind. Whether it's been depression, whether it's just emotionless. You know, it's just one of those things. So we had to kind of come up with something to help us get ourselves motivated. Something to get us positively in a positive mindset and stuff. And so far, these morning stretches have been a good thing. Now, obviously, that's just one small thing that we're doing. We're trying to come up with other ways to kind of help ourselves out as we go on and stuff like that. But my biggest problem that I'm having right now is thinking about it long term. Now, those of you that may not want to hear this is going to be me talking about it in the most adult way possible. So if you want to skip on ahead to other stuff like video games or something like that, you can skip forward into the video. But this is something that actually I feel like I want to talk about, because this is an important subject. Okay? So I recently celebrated my 10-year anniversary at Walmart. 10 years is a long-ass time, okay? 10 years is a long-ass time. But then I have to think about it. For instance, I would think about it, and it's like, do I plan on retiring from Walmart? That would be a good thing, because that means that I'm not shifting between jobs, and I'm able to continue working at Walmart and stuff like that, which is it's good. It's good. That means I have a solid job and I don't have to worry about it and stuff. But then I think about it, and the way that the economy has been shifting, the way that people react, the way that companies are changing things, the way that AI is reacting, the way that computers are reacting, the way that our smartphones are reacting and stuff like that. A number of factors have been put into the thought, and it's like, can I do this for the long term, you know? Now, let's just say I plan on staying with Walmart for another 40 years. Now, depending on how you do your math and stuff like that, 40 years is longer than expected, because, especially when you can think about it, technically the age requirement in the United States, the age requirement is somewhere between 62 to 67, 68. I've heard it either way. I've heard 62, I've heard 65, I've heard 67, 68. I don't care, is somewhere in the 60s. That much I know for a fact. So, if I ever get to the point in age where I could retire, chances are it might be within my 70s. I don't know. Again, the economy can shift in any direction. It's annoying as hell. But with that same thought process, my thought process was, could I keep working at this company for 40 years? Could I do that? 10 years is a long time, but then you have to think about it. Could I keep going with this for another 10 years, another 20, 30, 40? And it isn't until you think about it that you start to think to yourself, can I do this? There ain't no way I could. But realistically, I kind of have to, because there's nothing else good going on right now. There's nothing else positive about the workforce that's making me want to go and look for a new job. Every single time I had this mindset of, I want to find a new job, I'm getting tired of this job, I always have like a number of factors come and counteract with me, being like, do I really want to learn a new skill? Do I really want to learn a new job? Do I really want to adjust with a new job for working potentially a year before I start to rake in the benefits that they can supply? Versus what I already have with Walmart right now, which is surprisingly a really good relationship. Like, despite the workload and despite the frustration that the company has delivered, Walmart's pretty chill to work with. Like, you wouldn't think that, but despite that, they actually work with you. You have to talk to the right people, and that is the only way that works. You can't talk to like the big wigs or anything like that, but you can talk to certain parties that can help you along the way. Whether it's your supervisor, your direct supervisor, or a HR representative, or someone that has connections of some kind to kind of give ideals on how to progress with the company and stuff like that. And in my case, it's mostly just to keep working. I don't plan on being a manager. I don't plan on being any other position outside of where I'm at. I would rather stay where I'm at because I am in the most comfortable that I feel. And that is, in all honesty, a good thing. If you're in a position where you feel comfortable, you shouldn't do anything else. You shouldn't do anything else unless you feel like it's getting repetitive, or if you feel like you're getting burnt out of it or something like that. But if you feel generally comfortable where you're at, you shouldn't really do anything else about it. You just need to find a way to keep it up. You need to figure out, okay, well, how can I make this work for me for the long run? How do I keep up with it? And that's actually the hard question to ask, much less to answer, because it's like, how do you do it? And there may be a number of ways. I'm sure some seniors out there could probably give out advices and stuff like that of how you can probably keep it up for the long term. But right now, I'm just trying to learn that out. I'm trying to figure that out as I go, I'm trying to keep up with the workload, and I've been doing well with it to a degree. And I'm now at that point where I need to do better. So hopefully, as things continue to progress in whatever direction it goes, I hope to eventually continue keeping it up as I go. With that out of the way, though, now I can actually talk about what's going on right now with me. Aside from work and my daily life and stuff like that. Now we can actually get on to the part that I really actually enjoy, and that's talking about video games. Because, holy shit, there's been a lot of new stuff that's been going on this year. Like, literally since February to now, there's been a lot of news. There's been a lot of news, video games, and stuff like that. A lot of back and forth going on here and there and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. First thing, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be asking me this, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you, yes, I saw the new Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer. Now, obviously, due to the recent release of this trailer, I do find it weird that it was only released during a Nintendo Direct. But I ain't complaining. It's been 4 years since we had any kind of new trailer update, so I will take it. I also had a feeling we wasn't going to get a release date, because considering how everything else has been, I didn't think there was going to be a confirmed release date anytime soon. Especially when you consider the fact that Dragon Quest XII hasn't really had a quote-unquote confirmed release date. It's had a trailer with actual visual new stuff and everything like that, and not just a title screen, an actual like gameplay ideal and character models and stuff like that. But from recent news after that initial trailer, apparently it's going to be a couple more years before we actually start to hear its release date. So that's unfortunate. Then of course there's Final Fantasy VII Part 3. Yes, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 is going to be getting its release next year, which is not surprising considering how much I've been hearing about the development of the third part of FF7 Remake. It's been kind of insane. So it was one of those things where it's like, okay, you're talking too much, I'm not seeing anything, shut up. And then we finally see a trailer and it's like, okay, so yeah, we are getting it released next year. Makes sense. And I know before Kingdom Hearts 4 update trailer came out and stuff like that, it was kind of one of those things where it kind of had me like, yeah, this shift in direction is not looking good. For those that don't know, Square Enix had a new CEO. And this new CEO decided that for the next 3 years, he literally stated, next 3 years, the company is going through a major change. In shift in departments, the way that they develop stuff, they're changing everything. And it's definitely took a major hit in terms of all developments. And you can see that. There's physical proof evidence, and people have been talking about it on YouTube and stuff like that. There is evidence as to how much this has impacted Square Enix development cycle and stuff like that. Whether or not this is going to be an immediate change or how this will affect things, we'll only know as soon as game starts coming out. But it looks like next year we're going to start seeing more progressively releases than we had previously. So we're going to be seeing a little bit more out of Square Enix, I think, next year, which is good because, again, aside from, like, say, Octopath Traveler, Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3, HD 2D remasters and stuff like that, there hasn't really been that much, and I'm kind of surprised of how things have been handled and stuff like that. But obviously, I think a lot of people are going to be asking the questions of like, well, what worlds are we still going to be seeing in Kingdom Hearts? So far, we haven't seen any worlds. We've only seen the one world, which is Quadratum. And then, of course, there's another side of the argument in which where people don't like the realistic look that Kingdom Hearts is giving. Now, here's the thing. Yes, I'm with you on that one. I'm not a big fan of it either, but this is only not a permanent change, because this is only a story progression type thing. This is not a permanent thing. This is just something that's going on currently right now within Sora. So yeah, for those that are curious, if you've been following since Kingdom Hearts 3, And in Remind DLC, Sora gets transported to another world, completely removed from his world. And somehow he has ended up in a world that, according to everybody else in the Kingdom Hearts universe, this is considered unreality. Unreality. Our world is considered unreality? I don't know. But then again, to be fair, this is like a complete different shift in terms of like direction. For example, for those that have been following for quite some time, you'll probably think to yourself in terms of how Yozora is and stuff like that, it feels like Final Fantasy Versus 13 with Nomura's original ideal making fantasy into realism and stuff. And this has been an ideal that Nomura has had for a long time. And it's one of those things where he even carries it into Kingdom Hearts. How that's going to play out, who knows, but we know that in terms of story, somehow this involves with the new arc known as the Lost Masters arc. And there's a whole bunch of theories, a whole bunch of videos, a whole bunch of stuff that people are talking about in terms of Kingdom Hearts for future story development. How that's going to look, we don't know. We just know this is what's going to happen and everything like that. And hopefully we'll get a new trailer later on this year. If not, chances are this will be a 2028. But some people have theorized that this is still a possibility that it could be released in 2027. Considering the recent trailer we have, I sincerely doubt that. I still feel like this could be very well middle 2028 or late 28 at the earliest. But there's no confirm whether or not that's going to happen. But outside of that, though, there's still like a number of games that's still coming out this year. For example, there's Beast of Reincarnation. I've talked about that previously. But then there's this new one, Final Fantasy Renaissance. This one looks really good. They're saying that this is the first, quote-unquote, first HD 2D Final Fantasy game. And that's technically true. It's definitely the first Final Fantasy with a Octopath Traveler vision going on and stuff like that. So that's interesting. But this is also coming from the mobile phone game. I forget what it's called. I'll try putting it up on screen right now. Of where it's coming from that, but then it's finally being its own single player game. Which I love how it looks. I'm looking forward to this. It comes out later on this year, surprisingly, in October. Same month as Kingdom Hearts 1 through 3 that's being re-released. Yes, for those that don't know, we're getting another Kingdom Hearts collection being released. And the cool thing is that it will be available on Switch 2, PS5, and other modern day consoles. Now, of course, there's been more talk that's been going on and stuff like that. Nothing's been concrete. But in terms of the Nintendo Switch 2, that is not technically in a physical cartridge. You will still have to download the game. But at least, I can actually say this, at least it's better than Cloud. It is better than the Cloud version of Kingdom Hearts that we had for the Nintendo Switch. We're actually getting a better performance and actually a earnable thing, you know? It's not like streaming or anything like that. It's actually downloaded into the system. It's something. Okay? I will give it that. It is something. It's still stupid that is within a fake cartridge with a code on it, but it's something. I will give it that. Comparative to what they had previously on the Switch, it is an upgrade. Is a poor excuse, but it's an upgrade nonetheless. And especially considering the fact the size that they've been saying. The size format is said to be 130 gigs. Which makes sense, especially if you consider that this includes Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5, as well as 2.8 and Kingdom Hearts 3. With Remind. That's a lot of data. That is a lot of data for the Nintendo Switch 2 cartridge to take in. The max that they made for it is 64 gigs. So really, realistically, it wouldn't have fit anyway. The PS5, on the other hand, there has been wording of like what is actually on the physical disc, but will be updated on a day one patch to download the rest of the content on its initial release, which is good, which is really good. I do plan on actually getting the PS5 version of the Kingdom Hearts 1 through 3 because number one, I like how the cover looks. It looks really good. I really do like it. I like the art that Nomura has done with all of it. It looks great. Obviously, there's some controversy going on with the background in terms of like AI slop and stuff like that. It's hard to really tell, especially since I'm not that expert of AI analysts and stuff like that. So I can't say for sure if it is AI or not. But considering the fact that this is coming from Square Enix and how they're doing things and stuff like that, there's no telling how things are going and stuff like that. It could be. It's hard to say. But I would like to get the PS5 version just because of that. And then, of course, there may be some PS5 trophies. I'll obviously be recompleting the entire Kingdom Hearts series again for PS5. Honestly, I have no problem with that. I actually would like to do that again. It's one of those things where it's like, I love Kingdom Hearts that much. Of course, I'm going to be recompleting it as many times as I humanly possibly am able to. So I'm going to do that. That's something that I probably do. But anyway, outside of that, what else has been going on? Well, obviously, in terms of my favorite games channel, I am officially done with it. Oh, guys, I have to be honest with you. I did not realize of the undertake or overtake or whatever the word I'm looking for that is required for running 2 or more extra projects or extra channels, because my gosh, does it distract me so badly. It's one of those things where it's like I literally had to stop doing my Twitch streaming, mostly because of the fact it wasn't really getting me anywhere. If I had to be perfectly honest, I was starting to lose interest in Twitch streaming anyway, along with a few other things. Not worth mentioning, but in all honesty, I was just getting burned out of it. So I decided just to remove myself from Twitch streaming entirely, which has been actually a good thing. And then, of course, Favorite Games channel is now done. Which means now I can focus 100%, however way you want to classify 100%, into this channel. Which means I actually have videos that I can actually make, that I actually have time to make, and I'm going to do that. And like I said, I'm working on trying to improve myself to where that way I'd be more motivated, which means there will be more videos coming out on this channel, which is great. It's just a matter of me getting to them, obviously. And this video just kind of preludes itself as basically saying, you're going to be seeing some more videos out of this channel, which is going to be great. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to working on new projects, new videos, new ideals, kind of new experiments that I'm working on and stuff like that, and see how they go and everything like that. We'll just see how things go from here on out afterwards. You know, after this video gets released, we'll see how that ends up. Whether or not if I'll be releasing on like a consistent schedule or not. Does that mean there'll be more PlayStation 2 Legacy episodes? Not as much as you would probably think, but there will definitely be more frequent episodes per se. I'm surprised that I've been able to keep up with the PlayStation 2 Legacy at its current schedule, which is being released once every 2 weeks, once every other Friday per se. And while that's been good, it's also been actually quite hard these past couple of months in terms of keeping it up. And you wouldn't think that it would be that hard, but for me, just getting the motivation to get to record a PlayStation 2 Legacy episode is quite taxing. It's one of those things where I try to record upwards to an hour or so, depending on how much goes on and stuff, and try to fit it all within a 30-minute parameter or less, depending of a video, and these videos are mostly just to showcase the game in case people get interested in wanting to play them. You know, as collecting the PlayStation 2 and stuff like that, you do find a lot of different games, and I'm sure those different games are interesting to a lot of people, and it really depends on if they want to play them or not. It depends. So it's one of those things where it's like, I try to make them as showcasey as I possibly can. Sometimes that's not easy, especially since I've been using the emulation machine that I've worked on with the PlayStation 2 a couple years ago, was it? I'm losing track of time at this rate. You can tell that I'm losing track of time. Anyway, with that part out of the way, the PlayStation 2 emulation has been good, but it also has some hiccups that I've discovered here and there. So there have been some things that I've been kind of trying to work with and try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to cope with, per se. Because sometimes if something doesn't work out, it does kind of make you feel like, feel depressed that you didn't get anything accomplished. But the best thing you could do is just get back up and just work on something new. And that's the best way to do it, half the time. Anyway, now then, there's actually been one topic that I've been wanting to talk about for the Gamer Chat, vlog, and everything like that. And that's the current state of the gaming industry. Oh, that is something to talk about there. That is something to talk about. The current flow of the gaming industry. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm not confident in the gaming industry. Now, I know some people will say, well, that's been like that for a couple years, obviously. No. It's more so now. You know, used to, the complaints is that we're not getting good games coming out. We're not seeing games that are well polished. We're seeing more games concentrated more on microtransactions, DLC, day one patches, updates, patches, blah, 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 blah. Pick anything from the lists that you can think of and point. And chances are it's going to be one of those problems that we've had for a couple years. But now it's even more so. Now the atmosphere is even more of a complicated issue because of the whole AI program problem. Now, I'm mixed on AI, because on the one hand you have AI assistant. That is different than what is being used right now. Used to, AI would help assist someone in doing a project, whether it's like recommending a certain change or adjustment or kind of autocorrect or something like that. Now it's reverse to what is being done. Now you have AI completely building the entire thing and individual people cleaning up a few things that AI couldn't do. So basically, we are the cleanup crew and AI does the bulk of the work. I'm not a fan of that. If I have to be completely honest with you, I'm not a fan of that. Because AI is a default. Let me say this again. AI is a default. Meaning that it will stick to the most basic principle it knows. And it may do recommendations on occasion, but for the most part it's going to copy and paste on everything, which means we're going to start seeing a lot of the same things in everyday gaming life. And I don't like this, because one of the things that makes me love collecting video games in Genuine is how different and unique each game truly is. Each game is truly unique in its own way. It has a different art form, it has a different way of how it functions, new gameplay ideals, new functionality, new menus, new accessories, new ideals. There's always different ideals, and some people may actually use some of the same ideals but in a new way. And that is something that makes the gaming industry up to now, beautiful. Because you get different ideals, you get different unique ideals, new plans, new ways to play the game, new stories, new art forms, and everything. Just unique ideals. It's never the same, but there's always a unique feel that feels refreshing, you know? It's like, yeah, you'll play an RPG, but the reality is that there are multiple RPGs with different art styles and different designs, and that makes them unique. And it makes it so wonderful to play them and stuff like that because of the genius that goes behind making those things. You let an AI do this? There's no thinking whatsoever. There's no inspiration. There's just default plans and ideals, and that's it. There is no inspiration behind the creative motive of AI. I understand why they want to do this because of money constraints, because let's face it, we're in an economy problem in which where everything is going up, so naturally you have to cut costs somewhere. I don't think they're doing it in a way that actually works. I think they're just removing everybody out of the building and just letting AI do the bulk of the work. It's like, hey, they're more efficient, they're quick, they're right at it. We give them an ideal, they make it. But there's no, like, inspirational ideal. There's no, like, concrete, like, possible way that it could work and stuff like that. Instead, it's just AI being AI. And it sucks. It truly sucks to know that this is the future of gaming. And it's not going to get any better, I'm afraid. And it's one of those things where it's like, indie developers now are more crucial than ever. And seeing indie developers, the way they come up with these new ideals, these new games, are really cool. They're really cool to see. There is one problem, though. And that's the fact that they've been mostly being released on Steam. Yeah. I know what you're going to say. Just build you a new PC, build you a Steam machine. And yeah, I could if I wanted to. And in a way, if I specifically remove the PC from my desktop and just set it on the TV stand, it can work as a console. I just have to remove my mindset from thinking it's a PC and instead it's mostly a gaming system. Which is not crazy. This was something that I was originally going to do when I was doing the PS2 emulation project, and then I kind of learned all the new stuff and everything like that, and that was better. I actually loved doing that than I did if I was thinking about doing an actual PC build and everything. But with that being said, though, the biggest thing was the fact that I just wanted something for better importing of PS2 games to where I can play them easier and stuff like that. And while this isn't like direct compared to building a PC, this one was still pretty enjoyable and easy to understand for me and stuff like that. But now it's like possibly building a Steam machine might be something that I would do, but I've never really wanted to jump into it until rumors started to come up. Rumors of a possible Steam machine console. Yes, there was possible rumors of Steam releasing a console version for console players. And it's like, that's a brilliant ideal. And in all honesty, it makes perfect sense. They recently finally revealed it, and they finally confirmed a lot of stuff. However, though, there's a lot of mixed response. On the one hand, I knew the console by itself would be 1,000. Very easily 1,000. You know, you think about it, the most basic console build for a Steam machine is going to be based around the performance that you want to play, depending on the games that you're going to be playing and stuff like that. For example, me, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, just stuff in that nature, 1080p, 60 frames per second. Do I need a 4K ultra high-res Steam machine? No, I don't. I don't need that top priority. But thankfully, thanks to Steam and their infinite wisdoms, they actually do have a tier list of Steam machines that they have built to where that way they fit into your specific gaming lifestyle, which is great. On the other hand, though, there is the controller that they are making. How much is that controller? $1,000 or more. Yeah, I saw the price for the controller alone. And the weird thing is this. The Steam machine will not come with the controller. Instead, you have to buy the controller separate from the... Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you there, bud. This is present me talking, so let's get that updated, shall we? Because I actually decided to finally look into it just to see, and there's a lot of information that might, if not is, wrong. So, I went to the Steam website, steampowered.com, under their hardware section, where they're talking about the Steam machine. So, first and foremost, I thought the Steam machine was actually going to be released later this year. It is actually available right now! And I did not realize this, but a big part of it is that I did not realize that, yes, there will be bundles that comes with the controller. So, there is, while yes, the system does sell by itself, you can get it bundled. Now, of course, they do have a 512 gigabit system versus a 2 terabit system. And, of course, both bundles will have a controller. Now, as you can clearly see here, it says, sign in to join the list. In other words, wish list only. And there's also been further development, being that apparently scalpers / bots are purchasing these and are scalping them for higher tier prices. It's COVID all over again. No. So yeah, I just felt like I needed to give you a small little update in regards to that. So back to present me. I am seriously thinking about getting a Steam machine. Like, instead of getting a PlayStation 6, which Sony has been constantly, frequently talking about it, they have also stated that the PlayStation 6 might not come out as soon as people hope. And by that, I don't think they're referring to us. I think they're referring to shareholders. Which is completely different in terms of talk, okay? As us, as gamers, I think the PlayStation 5 is perfectly fine where it's at, and I think we can do without a new console upgrade or new console generation or whatever for another potential 10 years. That's not going to happen, but 10 years I feel like is a good length of time to wait for a new console. That's just me. Sony may feel like they want to rush the ideal of a new console. Who's to say? I don't know. I just know that the PlayStation 6 isn't going to be for another few years, but I feel like they could wait a little bit longer, really, in all honesty. But it's weird because we're actually already past the halfway point of a current console generation lifespan. Yeah, for those that forgot, PlayStation 5 came out 6 years ago. So it's like, oh, it's already been 6 years. Oh shit. But yeah, it's like, obviously the most obvious reasons why they're kind of hesitant about wanting to release a PlayStation 6 is due to the chip shortages and due to RAM shortage, due to all forms of PC components, all forms of technological shortages going on in that direction. So naturally, we're not going to be seeing a PlayStation 6 for a good long while. But if I had to be completely honest with you, I don't really want to get a new PlayStation system. And my reason is kind of personal. I'm going to keep them to myself, but I have not liked how Sony has been handling their business model currently right now. Yeah, They've been kind of aggressive, it feels like. Now, again, the PlayStation 5, I enjoy it to a degree. I wouldn't say in terms of game lineup, it's comparative to the last generation, but that aside, it's been pretty chilled. It's been pretty good. There's been a lot of good games that have been coming out this generation. But I don't want to get a PlayStation 6. Yeah. It's a sour pill to swallow, but it's one that I'm willing to easily take because, in all honesty, I just don't like where Sony's going. Microsoft has definitely hit the bottom. Like, seriously, they hit the bottom hard to a point to where it's like concernable. It's like, are they going to get back up? I don't know. Nintendo will do fine. Nintendo will do fine. Are they doing some practice that is not enjoyable by today's standards in terms of Nintendo fan base? Yeah, Nintendo fans are not happy. But Nintendo will do just fine. It's one of those things where it's like, I can't really complain in terms of how the console is looking because, again, it's just like the Switch. It's at better performance, which is great. The only thing I don't like is the fact that certain third-party games are not physically in the cartridge. That's the only thing that I don't like. So there's that. But it's one of those things where it's like, if we are entering in this digital age, which sucks, it truly does, it truly sucks that we are seeing a more aggressive look towards digital releases. But if that's the case, why go for PlayStation 6, Switch 2, or whatever Xbox title Microsoft comes up with? Instead, why not just get a Steam machine? At this point. Now, I haven't fully looked into it. I'm sure people who have looked into it could confirm it for me. But I think the biggest thing that I probably get the Steam machine for, obviously Kingdom Hearts. I mean, I don't think anyone would be surprised if I just downloaded the Kingdom Hearts series onto the Steam machine. No one would be shocked. They'd be like, yeah, I saw that coming. I saw that coming from a mile away. And I'm sure for some people being like, I'm 57 years old, blind as a bat, but I definitely saw that coming from 100 miles away. So yeah, you were correct. I would do that. That's to be expected. But honestly, my reason for getting the Steam machine and the Kingdom Hearts series on the Steam machine kind of goes a little bit beyond in terms of just replaying the series. It's the fact that the modding community. Now, I want to say that in terms of my mindset of how it all works, if the Steam machine functions the same way that I think it should function, then surely to goodness you can install mods onto the game that's on the Steam machine. I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, I don't know. I just know that it is kind of that same ideal thinking. And if that's the case, there's a dozen mods that have come out for the Kingdom Hearts series that I would love to get myself involved into. Most of them being Kingdom Hearts 3. And if you want a video talking about all the stuff that's been added for Kingdom Hearts 3 modding, Cynical did a video talking about like his version of the definitive edition of Kingdom Hearts 3. Like if there was someone that actually made like a Kingdom Hearts 3 final mix, this is what it would look like. And in all honesty, the majority of the stuff that's on that Pacific one are the majority of the mods that I would install on Kingdom Hearts 3. Especially with the Olympic Coliseum add-on and the exploration of Traverse Town. That'd be flipping bonkers. I would love that. It's just stuff like that. That'd be fun for me. I know definitely in Kingdom Hearts 1 modding, someone made a Sora beta version look. You know how Sora was originally supposed to look before his full-on final design. Obviously with the exception of the chainsaw. So yeah, that might be a downside. But the actual general design and the confirmed colors. May not be a fan of the coloring, but they are confirmed. So we do get to have the feeling of what it would have been like if we were playing as Sora in its original beta look. That's pretty cool. I would love to do that too. It's just a lot of different things that makes me happy and excited. And in all honesty, when I look at the other companies and their machines, I just feel hesitant. I feel like I'm being pushed back away from those consoles. Yet the more I look at the Steam machine, the more I go, let me have a little talk with you, Gabe. It's one of those things where it's like, we share the same ideals here, so I might actually go with it and stuff like that. It's like, the one thing that hesitated me for the longest time is knowing what components to get for a Steam Machine Pacific system. But now that Steam is making a Steam Machine console version, it's actually worth it now. It might actually be worth it. And I talked about it with Daniel, and at first, Delmar was like, I see where you're going with this, but I don't know. But as more games have been shown off this year, during the Summer Games Fest and other stuff this month alone, there's been more game reveals and everything like that. And Daniel's been going, you're getting somewhere with the whole Steam machine. I might actually join you on that. Do you care if we go halfers on it? Yes, of course we'll go halfers on it. Because it's like, yeah, it just makes the most sense. It's just one of those things where it's like, ordinarily I wouldn't do this, but because of how gaming companies have been these days, and how they're acting and stuff like that, yeah, the Steam machine is definitely something I would definitely invest in. It would. I mean, don't be surprised if all of a sudden I do a video review on the Steam machine. Do not be surprised if I do that. There's only one major thing that I want to talk about, and that's this. My PlayStation 2 collection. So, for those that don't know, the only video that I have not done, aside from like a few small collection that I've got here and there, I've only had 2 major collect videos of like my overall entire collection. And that's the PlayStation 4 and the PS5, along with a few other small things here and there. But I have yet to have talked about my PlayStation 2. And that's because I'm actually waiting to get it to be a full-on 300 games. It's actually a lot harder than it looks. It's one of those things where it's like, it's actually a lot harder to get to 300. Because there are certain games that I actually want to add to this wall here. There's certain games that I'm wanting to add to it. And they've not been showing up on that game store. And my retro game store in town has not been there. It's one of those things where it's like, I go in there every once in a while, every couple of weeks, I don't see it. Then I don't have the money, I go in there on just an off day, all of a sudden, it's right there. And I don't have the money to get it at the moment. I go back to potentially get it, it's not there. Damn. So yeah, it's just one of those things where it's actually kind of hard. So I've been kind of resorted to buying most of the PlayStation 2 games that I've been wanting to add on to and stuff like that to get it to that full 300 from eBay, unfortunately. I know some people are very iffy about that, especially considering the fact that buying on eBay, you're technically paying more. But if there's like a specific game you're wanting to get and you've not been able to find it, I think you can kind of leeway a little bit depending, and I say depending on if you got the cash or not. If you don't have the cash, don't rush on it. But if you do have the cash and you have not been able to find it at your local retro game shop, don't feel bad about doing that, okay? I'm not going to complain about it. There's going to be a handful that won't complain, that understand. Don't listen to the majority of the internet. The internet is full of negative comments anyway, so anyway. I've talked enough as it is, but if for some reason you feel like you want to talk about it, let me know in the comments below what do you think of my overall mindset currently right now, because quite frankly, I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of all over the place, but for the most part, I'm kind of finding my joy again in a way. It took me a while, And I've been kind of in a slump here and there, but I'm finally kind of getting rejuvenated and getting back into the swing of things. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next episode. This is Black Cross sign off. Catch you guys later.